you need a church with a drive. That pastor's got to have a drive. It don't make sense for him to stand up 10 minutes, clear his throat, man, money is going down the drain. But you ought to hit the pulpit preaching. You need a drive. It don't make sense to have a whole hour and let them sing up until the last 10 minutes and jump up there and try to preach enough gospel to save the world. You need to take time and get in your room and burn the midnight oil. Go to licking leaves, studying and crying out to God, saying, God, give me something to tell you people. For man can't live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. Can you say glory? Oh, glory. He needs a people with a drive. When people don't have no drive, when people don't have no drive, no press, no drive, no nothing, dragging to church, dragging to prayer meeting, dragging with amens, dragging into praise. Got to be pumped and primed to give God the glory. God said, no, if I've done anything for you, and if your salvation mean anything to you, it ought to be a drive in your spirit. Every time you think of the goodness of Jesus, you know how you ought to be? You ought to be like a fire horse. Years ago, before the automobiles, they had a fire horse. And every time there was a fire and the bell go to ringing, that fire horse, that big Clydesdale horse, would go to dancing and prancing because he knew you was getting ready to hitch him up to go to the fire. And sometimes the horse would get old and wasn't able to keep up, so they sent him out to pasture. But every time he hear that bell, as old as he was, he'd go to prancing because it was down in his spirit. I don't care how the devil's pressing you out of measure, pressing you above measure, how it looks like the devil is winning. Every time you think of the goodness, something in you go to prancing, something in you go to getting happy. When you think of where God brought you from and where God's going to bring you to, something in you get happy. Yes, yes, yes. Because you know there's a fire that's coming behind it. Can you say glory? Can you say glory? Now you all know the story. Time won't permit me to go into the story, but this woman was promised a child, and the child died. For the man of God prophesied and said, by this time next year, you're going to be embracing the son. And while the boy was out in the field with his father, he had a sunstroke. The sun got hot, but it's good to know when the sun get hot, God will give you help. When the sun get hot, they took the boy and laid him on the bed of the man of God, and the boy died. The woman says, saddle the ass, and don't you slack your riding, lest I bid you. Don't salute nobody by the way. Drive and go forward. You've often heard me say that God stands ready to meet the need of every desperate soul. When you're desperate, when you mean business with God, God is ready. God is ready to come to your need. God is ready to minister to your spirit. If you believe it, shout glory. Shout glory. I'm just wondering, must I preach this thing?